Hey there, bud! Stu Black here, HomeStudioBasics.com, and before we get into the JDS Labs Element Amp DAC review, grab yourself a snack, sit back and relax, man. You come to the right place. It looks like a mini turntable, basically, which I thought was pretty neat. I really like the volume knob on it. It's nice and big, and it turns very easily. Couple of specifications before we get started. This is a little bit better of an amp DAC than the Objective 2, but it's not a night and day difference. I'll get into some of the similarities and differences between the two, but I would say a fantastic unit. For 350 bucks, it's something that you'll buy and not have to upgrade for quite a while. It's very powerful. So yeah, output impedance 0.1. We discussed output impedance in the Objective 2 review, so I'll link that above. Max continuous output at 600 ohms, 140 milliwatts, which is quite a bit. At 150 ohms, 505 milliwatts. And at 32 ohms, 1.1 watts. So basically, yeah, it's super, super powerful. Probably more power than you would ever need, but it's good to have just in case. Some headphones, like a K702, K240, they have really, really low sensitivity, which means they're not very efficient and need more power from the amp to reach peak loudness. So peak loudness is a little bit different from person to person, but the standard is around 110 decibels. That's like pretty loud. Some people like it a little bit louder, 115. If you like it a little bit lower, 105, 100, something like that. Basically, this thing can power anything. Yeah, the important stuff is output impedance, power output. It's got a 1/4 inch jack, I can't talk. Analog input RCA, DAC line output RCA, digital input USB. So build quality, very, very good. This is a bit heavier than an Objective 2. It feels really solid. It leaves a fairly large footprint on your desk, but if you got the space, man, this thing is a beast. Really like it. My cat is looking at me like I'm trying to sleep here, you douche. I got a new cat. I'll tell you about that later. All the buttons on the back feel really, they're a bit different than the Objective 2. With the O2, you kind of you push the button in, it slides back and it comes forward. With the Element, you just press it and it clicks real fast. It's like just a click. It's not really, it's a bit different, the feel of it. Everything is really solid. You got a gain switch like you do on the Objective 2, but no bass boost. So for some people that might be a problem. I mean, it would have been nice to have, but I can live without it, I guess. Features, like we just said, gain switch, power jack, and USB input. There's also a headphone jack on the front. Basically, the only feature is the gain button. But the other feature that you might not be aware of, it's a combo amp DAC, but it also comes with a pair of analog inputs and automatic DAC line outputs, which basically enable you to switch between powered monitors and headphones with the click of a button. So pretty versatile in that regard. Sort of like the Audio Engine D1, you can use it. There's a bit more uses for it, but you can't. It doesn't have Toslink optical, so you couldn't. I would have really liked to see optical for gaming. I think this would have been like the perfect gaming rig. Ergonomics and sound, like we talked about, extremely powerful. Even more power than the Objective 2. You can plug pretty much anything in here. You're getting more of the same with the Objective 2. Very sterile, clean sound. Maybe perhaps a bit better. Is the Element ideal with every headphone? I mean, that just depends on who you ask. Unless you desire a warmer sound, you probably want a tube amp for that. But so in comparison, let's get into some of the similarities and differences. The Element has a 16 volt AC power input, while the Objective 2 has a 15 volt. So make sure to only use power bricks supplied by JDS Labs for best results. Element provides a bit more power than the Objective 2. When you turn on the Element, a halo ring light comes on below the large volume knob. On the Objective 2, a small red light comes on to the left of the smaller volume knob. The aesthetic and size is a bit different. The Objective 2 resembles your typical amp, or it has the shape of an audio interface kind of, whereas the Element, like I said, looks like a turntable, a mini turntable. Size, Element's also a bit bigger and a little bit heavier. Volume knob, like I said, The Objective 2's is smaller, sits on the front. The Elements is larger and sits on the top. The bare bones version of the Objective 2 has nothing on the back and doesn't provide RCA inputs or outputs. The Element does provide two pairs, one pair of analog inputs and a pair of automatic DAC line outputs, which we discussed. So there's a small difference in sound, but by and large, I mean, I couldn't tell a difference with some of the tracks. Element sometimes provides a little bit better resolution, but it's very hard to discern. The timbre of the instruments is a little bit better sometimes. On certain songs, the Element seems to have a little bit more life, more thump, but it's very subtle. You're not gonna be missing out on much if you buy the Objective 2. You can always upgrade later, and you will get a bit better of a sound. The Elements seem to handle the fast-paced nature of Peace Sells by Megadeth a little bit better than the Objective 2. With stuff like Rolling Stones, Beast of Burden, Led Zeppelin, I couldn't tell much of a difference on Achilles' Last Stand, which is, hey. Achilles' Last Stand, All of My Love. But on All of My Love, I could hear like the John Paul Jones's individual bass notes so well on the Element. It was ridiculous. You really get a sense of how talented some of these artists are. John Paul Jones is considered one of the best bass players of all time, and you really feel that once you hear the song and understand all of his different bass licks are like incredible. On Hey Hey What Can I Do, the Element simply provided a little bit more power. On Everything in Its Right Place by Radiohead, the Element provided a smidgen more of presence, air, and clarity, but it was a very small difference. I've heard that song 1,000 times. In fact, all the tracks that I used, I'm very, very familiar with, so I can detect differences a little bit easier. Very small differences. Last two, Chon's Water Slide and Lauryn Hill's Lost Ones, not much of a difference. So again, I'll leave a link below for my comparison review as well, and you can go through it. I tested a bunch of tracks with these, and I basically have been demoing both for close to 2 or 3 months now, so got a pretty good idea of how they sound. With that, my final grade for the Element, A+, A number one. You like, it's good. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to my growing channel. And with that,
check 1 2. I hope you enjoyed this review. 2. It was brought to you by Stu. Who? Me, the lyrical G. Empirical dreams slide through like dream. PC gaming, letting off steam. Got bars for days like a prison inmate. A misdemeanor's fate, no debate. When I wake up, okay, start my day with a cup and I pray. I don't faint, I'm a saint of the Most High God. Of the Most High God.